It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview Rob Bridgers, the owner of Hoop State Network. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Brandon. Thank you for having me.
Can you talk about how you knew you wanted to start a sports talk podcast?
So for me, I grew up in a basketball family. A lot of my family members play basketball. I played basketball as well. Obviously, the NBA wasn't in the cards for me, but I love the game so much. I just wanted to find a way to stay involved and stay with it. So kind of honestly just started on Twitter and social media, just kind of posting my thoughts about basketball and things like that. And I started, to gain a pretty large following that way. So once it got to that point, I was kind of like, okay, well, let's do a podcast. And my co-host, Webb Wellman of the New South show, he was actually with Ball is Life at the time. So we all joined together and did a podcast for Ball is Life. Since then, we migrated over and created the Hoop State Network. But that's how that originally started. So,
can you talk about the Hoop State Network?
Mm-hmm. So the Hoop State Network is more or less like we're more or less just a media company designed to help kids be seen. A lot of us, our main mission in the Hoop State Network is for kids that, not only the main kids that everybody know in North Carolina, but we also, some of the underrated kids, we want those guys to be seen as well too. So we just provide a platform for those kids to be seen by other states and the bigger scouts and things of that nature, because we genuinely feel in North Carolina that we have some of the best high school talent in the country. I mean, over the past, 10 to 15 years, there's a who's who come through North Carolina in terms of basketball. And I think it's for us, we wanted to give kids a platform to be seen. So
what do you offer for the Hoop State Network for these kids?
We offer a chance to be seen. Like we offer kids to get a chance to have like creative control over the type of content that they want. So a lot of times when we come to kids with ideas, one thing we always tell them is say, if there's anything that you think you might like or that might be more catered to what you like to do, let us know. And we kind of go about it that way. So a lot of times when we do like day in the life with kids and things like that, we allow them to kind of have like creative control over what type of content they want, because we feel like not only are they basketball players, but we want to also groom their mind to prepare them if they're going to go off to college and the pro. You're your own brand. So now we want to kind of start early with creating that, get them that creative content in their mind to kind of know how they want their brand to be represented.
Can you talk about the preparation behind the day in the life?
So what we kind of do is typically before we start, we kind of reach out to them beforehand and say, hey, what do you got going on X day? Well, what we typically do, we'll say we want to kind of do something like your everyday life, like you're at home playing video games or you're with your friends hanging out. That's the type of content we want to see, because we want people to see that what they don't see on the basketball court. We want to see the person as opposed to the player. So we do that. And then, obviously we throw some basketball stuff in there. And then typically, before COVID, we were trying to do like something fun, like where they go to like drive go-karts or anything fun that's outside of basketball to kind of show off their personality. So we try to make it a complete experience to kind of give people an idea of who that kid really is.
Can you talk about how it feels when the kid comes on your Hoop State Network and commits?
Yeah, it's honestly it's an amazing experience, because we feel like, well, they put their trust in us. We had Dontre Styles come on, Bobby Pettiford as well. It's awesome because they could go. Those kids committed to some of the biggest schools in the country, so they could literally get anybody to put out, that they're where they're committing to the fact that they choose Hoop State. It's really a blessing, and it's something that we're very thankful for.
What is the process like for you to get these people to come on to your Hoop State Network to commit?
So typically, we have a few different people that kind of make it happen. It's either myself, Miles Maxacola, Webb Wellman, Anthony Simmons, then Max Schneide as well too. Max is kind of our video and on our camera guys. So so what Max does is Max, the kids will hit Max up and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Can you make me an edit, or can we make a video? And then we also kind of collaborate and come up with the best idea, the best way to put the content out for the kids. So,
Can you talk about your podcast, how it got started on YouTube?
yeah. So, so back in I think it was early 2018. Like I said, myself and my co-host Webb Wellman, we had several conversations about it. One day he called and said, hey, Ball is Life, the company he was with, wants to start a podcast, and they want me and you to be to have the show. And I was like, okay, well, cool, because I had been kicking around ideas for podcasts with a few different people, but when Ball is Life comes calling, that's an amazing opportunity. So had to jump on that. It was a really, really cool experience because in the first, we started in January, and then in May, I was able to go out to the Ball is Life All-American game, where I was able to interview Mac McClung and Sharif O'Neal and Kobe White, Devon Dotson, a few different guys that were there. They were participating in the game. So it just, starting off early, it gave me an opportunity to really sit down with some high level guys. So like I said, again, it's a blessing.
Can you talk about as you interview, for example, Kobe White, and now that he's in the professional league, how has that impacted you, knowing that you had an impact in his life firsthand before he got to the professional?
Right. Well, first and foremost, I've known Kobe since he was in the 9th grade. Kobe and my nephew Jalen Harris plays at Georgetown University now. They were really close. They played for the same AAU organization at the time. So for me to see Kobe, what he's become as a 9th grader to now being the number 7 pick, playing for Chicago Bulls, it's amazing. As far as Kobe, Kobe had a very intriguing story, with the passing of his father and just his whole hashtag for my father. I feel like that alone kind of drove Kobe to, get to the places where he wanted to be. Like, he was always talented enough to get to the NBA, but I think, just having that extra motivation and things like that, I think that's something that, just drove him. So, and that's kind of what we wanted to, talk about in the interview with him, is kind of, what's your motivation? What drives you? So that's what went into it with Kobe.
Can you talk about your segment, Hoop State Hype?
Mm-hmm. So Hoop State Hype is more of it's like a weekly show where we just kind of, it's almost like a Sports Center type thing where we just kind of do, go over the what's going on in the world at the time. I think Miles Massacola does it a lot. He's really good at what he does at that. But it's actually pretty neat. It's kind of just more like a current events thing where we don't really it's different from our podcast, because of the podcast, we take these topics and we dissect them kind of like a First Take or Skip and Shannon. But Hoop State Hype is more like a Sports Center where you just putting their information out and, going from there.
Who was your inspiration behind starting a podcast?
Oh, man. I really honestly, probably Jalen Rose is probably my inspiration, because Jalen Rose, I love seeing athletes that can step into another phase in their career and really excel. Jalen Rose is probably somebody that I really look up to in terms of, just how he articulates himself, how, he's not one of those guys where, you see on certain sports shows where they're showing their bias towards one player. Like, Jalen Rose is one of those guys that kind of tells it straight. And that's, for me, that's what I strive to be. Like, a lot of times when I voice my opinion or how I feel about things, it may not always please the masses, but I feel much better knowing that I'm telling the truth and I'm being forthright and honest about. So Jalen Rose is probably somebody I look into.
Can you talk about the North-South show with Weber and how that got started?
So that's the New South with Webb. So basically that was through Ball is Life as well. It was just more, they was just looking for somebody with, a little charisma and, to go with Webb. Webb is somebody who's full of life and energy and ideas and things like that. So they wanted somebody that could kind of, contrast in style with him. So that's how that got started. It's really been a blessing. We probably have over 50 episodes now. And that's crazy because we've taken breaks and things like that. So, but it's something that I really look forward to, and I'm really blessed to be with somebody like Webb. So.
What advice would you give upcoming sports podcasters and sports news people looking to get into the profession?
The biggest piece of advice I tell anybody who asks me is, stand on your own words. Anything that you believe in, stand on it and believe in what you say. A lot of times, people will go with they'll go with the masses to just appease people and gain a following. But for me, I feel like you can gain more of a following, more respect if you just stand on what you believe in. Even if it's it could be left field in what you think, but if that's what you truly believe and that's what you truly stand for, just stand on it. So just believe in what you say. Don't get caught up in all the hype. And just trust your work and trust your eyes and trust what you see.
Where can my listeners find you at and along with Hoop State Network on social media?
Got you. So you can find me at Rod_Bridges on Twitter. On Earth.
Thank you again for your interview, Rob, and best of luck in your future with Hoop State Network. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.